The Jared Dillian Show.
I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show. If you want to call to talk about your money, please call 844-305-7800. That's 844-305-7800. This is The Jared Dillian Show. Everybody says they want to get rich, right? Like everybody wants to be rich. Be careful what you wish for. I don't think most people really have an appreciation for what it's like when you're rich. I don't think you really want to get rich. And the reason is your life gets incredibly complicated. Being rich is a lot harder than it seems. Things get infinitely more complicated. And if you like how simple your life is right now, it's going to get a lot more complex. And I really mean that. I mean, things just get way, way more complicated. Now, the first way in things get more complicated is that your taxes, first of all, your taxes go up, which is no fun. And then they also get much more complex by a lot. Now, for me, I definitely know people with more complicated taxes than I have. But I have 1099 income. I have business income. I have a Schedule C. I have capital gains. I have, 1099s from that. You have more accounts, more stocks, mortgage interest deduction. It just, it's a lot of paperwork. Your taxes get complicated, and they go up by a lot. When I go home tonight, I am going to write a check for my estimated taxes for January. And it's going to suck. It's going to suck. And if you're just working a 9-to-5 job and you get paid a salary, you're making $50,000 a year, you don't really have to worry about taxes because it just gets withheld from your paycheck. And, you have a couple of deductions, and at the end of the year, you get a refund back, and taxes are fun. Taxes are a positive experience because you get money back, right? You file your taxes and you get paid. It's like the best thing in the world. Once you get to be rich, that whole experience goes away. Taxes are not fun. Nobody who is rich gets a refund when they file their taxes. That doesn't happen. Okay, I guess unless you're Donald Trump, right? He was really good at his taxes. But I pay something called estimated taxes. And the reason I pay estimated taxes are I don't know what I'm going to make from year to year. I don't have a salary. I have business income. I have other income. And that forces me to estimate my income and estimate my taxes. So I write 4 checks to the IRS every year. 1 in April, 1 in June, 1 in September, and 1 in January. 4 times a year I pay estimated taxes. And I actually have to write a check. So no income is being withheld from me. I actually have to pay all my taxes by check. And let me tell you, if everybody in the country had to pay estimated taxes, this world would be a lot different. Our priorities would be a lot different. So, now, let's say you get enough money together to buy a house. Okay, now things start to get complicated. Now you have a mortgage. Now your taxes get more complicated because you're going to get a 1099 for the mortgage interest you paid, which you can deduct off your taxes. And owning a house is complicated. You have to pay for the upkeep of the house. You have maintenance. You have landscaping. You have to paint the house. And maybe if you live in some kind of development, you have a homeowners association and you have to pay HOA dues. So owning a house makes your life way more complicated than renting. Renting, if you live in an apartment or you rent a house, something goes wrong, the toilet gets clogged, you call the landlord and they fix it. It's very simple. And there is a very compelling reason why a lot of people shouldn't own a house. And it doesn't really have anything to do with their ability to be financially prepared to own a house. It just has to do with the responsibility that comes with owning a house. About 65% of people in this country own a house rather than rent. Okay. You're going to have to pay for heating and air conditioning. You're going to have to pay for cable. You're going to have to pay for internet. More bills. Things get more complicated. If your life is simple right now, You rent a place, you get paid, you get a tax refund. Life is simple. It's going to get a lot more complicated. Then let's say you get another car. Now you have 2 insurance bills. And let's say you get a few more credit cards. Now you have to juggle all these different accounts and pay your credit card bills. Then you're going to get a brokerage account. You're going to start trading stocks and investing in mutual funds. And then your taxes are going to get even more complicated. So then you're going to start listening to the Jared Dillian show because you're going to have these questions about which is better, a Roth IRA or a traditional IRA. Like before you had money, you didn't have to think about this stuff. Life was very simple. Now things get more complicated and you have to make these very complicated decisions. So you never had to think about this stuff before. You have to start thinking about life insurance. And life insurance isn't hard, but it's something you have to consider. Now, the fun part of being rich is you have to start thinking about consumption. What are you going to buy with all this money? Now, that's the fun part of getting rich, but the rest of it is not fun. It just makes your life complicated. Now, you're also going to have to think about donating to charity. Now, maybe you're donating now, but if you make more money, you're going to have to donate even more money. And donating money is hard. Donating money is hard. It really is. Like, if you're donating lots of money, you want to make sure the money is used effectively. You can't just throw spaghetti against the wall. Now, last week we had a guest on. His name was Bill Perkins, and he is the author of a book called Die with Zero. And it's self-explanatory. He says that in the second half of your life, you should spend your money and die with zero. But we talked about charitable giving. Now, I've talked about charitable giving a bunch on the show, and my theory about charitable giving is that you should give less in the early half of your life, and you should give more in the second half of your life. Because you want to invest the money in the first half of your life and have it compound and grow over time, so that if you give the money in the second half of your life, you'll be actually able to donate more money. And he disagreed with that. And he put it in a way that was very easy to understand. He said that, you know, the money you donate now, and he used my example because I donate to cats, okay? And he says the rate of return on that money you donate right now is off the charts. It's higher than investing in stocks. It's higher than investing in Bitcoin. The rate of return on donating is very, very high. So that's why you should be doing it all the time. And as a finance guy, he put it in terms that I understand, and I actually sort of agree with him. But basically, your life goes from being very simple to being very complicated. Now, one thing that I am fond of saying, and I say this all the time, is that if people are not equal to their money in terms of character, they will lose it. Like, you see this all the time with lottery winners. Somebody wins $300 million, and then 5 years later, they're broke. And what happened was they were not equal to their money in terms of character. I mean, it takes character to make money, but it also takes character to hold on to money. And if you're not equal to your wealth, you will blow it on stupid stuff and just bleed it all over the place. It takes good personal attributes to make money, but it also takes good personal qualities to hang on to money instead of hemorrhaging it all the time. And it's good to give money away, but you have to do it in a smart and targeted fashion. So I can tell you, yeah, there's a lot of good things about being rich. I don't lay in bed at night and worry about how I'm going to pay the credit card bills. I don't lay in bed at night and worry about how I'm going to make the rent payment. But, you know, I have different concerns. You know, in a lot of ways, being rich is a big pain in the ass. And I always wonder about these people who win the lottery and they have no sophistication as to what to do with it. So, by the way, since we're talking about the lottery, you know, the Powerball is like 600 million. The Mega Millions is like 600 million. Somebody's going to win it. Maybe it's going to be a listener of this show. Let me give you a piece of advice. If you win the Mega Millions or the Powerball, what you should do, the first thing you should do is look up on the internet J.P. Morgan Private Client Services or Morgan Stanley Private Client Services and open an account at one of these big reputable firms. Because these firms have teams of people that are well equipped to deal with people who have huge amounts of money because they have very different concerns. And what they can do is they can handle everything and set you up so that you have an income of several $1,000,000 a year, and you won't even have to touch the principal. And if you want to give your money away, they will help you do it in a smart fashion. So every once in a while you hear about celebrities or athletes who blow cash and end up broke, like Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp is sort of the poster child for this. He was like launching Hunter S. Thompson out into space, and he was drinking like $50,000 bottles of wine. And Johnny Depp was worth about $500 million, and he ended up broke. He actually managed to spend $500 million. Mike Tyson did the same thing. Mike Tyson was worth like $750 million, spent it all. And Johnny Depp tried blaming his financial advisor, but the financial advisor was like, "Look, I told you not to do that." Anyway, I have an incredible story about a crooked financial advisor. We are almost out of time. I'm not going to have time to tell it. I'll tell it at the beginning of the next segment. But it's a story about a financial advisor for professional football players in Atlanta where things went horribly wrong. I'm Jared Dillian. This is The Jared Dillian Show.
The Jared Dillian Show.